الله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I start with the actual session for this evening, I have been asked to make what I regard as a very important announcement that some volunteers have very kindly undertaken to hold a thalassemia camp. This is indeed a very important matter because prevention of thalassemia disorder is a worldwide effort amongst various communities. Our communities in the Western world, particularly in England and in America, are taking extensive steps to avoidance of this disorder within the community because statistics have shown that it is a disorder that is definitely prevalent within our community. I was very gratified to notice that such an effort that is being made in the Western countries also takes place in Mumbai, and it takes place on an entirely voluntary basis, as happens in our communities in other parts of the world. Such camps, I am advised, have already taken place in Andheri and Varsama, and now is taking place in Bandra. It is my earnest request that members of the community do take advantage of this camp. This camp requires giving of a little blood so that it is tested for thalassemia. The results can be fantastic for prevention of that disorder in the community, and full advantage ought to be taken of it. There is already a desk outside providing for assistance, and please make sure that you grant them the cooperation you want so that they can help you in providing you the help that you need. They will also be here tomorrow night. I shall inshallah remind you tomorrow night again in case you have overlooked to speak to them tonight, because it is a matter of such great importance that this community, which can help itself, ought not to miss this chance. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. All praises to Allah, the creator of the universes and their sustainer. the provider of believers and unbelievers. And may his choicest blessings be on the seal of his prophets, the last of his messengers, and his holy progeny. And in particular, may his incessant blessings flow on that beloved daughter of the holy prophet, on Az-Zahra, As-Siddiqa, Fatimatu Az-Zahra, Salamatullahi Salamu alayhi. We completed yesterday's session at the discussion of the actual ceremony that took place for the marriage of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam with Imam Ali alayhi salam. The known result, or rather one of the known results of that marriage, is the name of Fatima Zahra alayha salam as Mubarakah, and the first two Masumin that were born of her were Hassanain alayhim salam. It is purely to connect with what we were discussing last year that I say that when Imam Hassan alayhi salam was born, the marriage took place in the second year after Hijrah. He was born in the third year after Hijrah. There may be a lesson in that Imam Ali alayhi salam learned as he was, as we saw last year. And Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam, pious and learned as she was, as we saw last night, should have decided not to delay getting the first child. There is the tendency these days to do so. One needs a second thought for that tendency, because one can see that these two learned people decided that the birth of the first child should not be delayed. And we notice, incidentally, that the second child was born within a year after that. In the fourth year after Hijrah, the second child was born, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When Imam Hassan alayhi salam was born, he had to be named. And when Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam raised this question, Imam Ali alayhi salam immediately said, I cannot take precedence over the Holy Prophet himself. I shall wait for him to come and name the child. And when the Holy Prophet arrived, he said, I cannot take precedence over subhanallah wa ta'ala. I'll wait for what command comes from there. And indeed, Jibreel came and said, Ya Rasulullah, you're waiting for the order of Allah. The order of Allah is that Ali is to you as Harun was to Musa. We have discussed this fully last year and the year before, when the Holy Prophet said to Imam Ali, Anta minni bimanzilati Haruna min Musa illa la nabiyyu ba'di. So, as he is in the place of Harun, then the son of Ali must be named exactly what the first son of Harun was named. So, the Holy Prophet asked Jibreel, tell me what was the name of the first son of Harun. And Jibreel said his name was Shubayr. Holy Prophet immediately rejected that name, saying, Oh Jibreel, that is a Hebrew name. My community is Arab community. I am an Arab. I will not keep a Hebrew name. And so immediately Jibreel says, Ya Rasulullah, the Arabic equivalent of Shubayr is Hassan, and this is how Imam Hassan alayhi salam was named, the name he was given. When the second child was born, identical episode was repeated. This time, Jibreel said, the second son of Harun is Shabbir. So you name him Shabbir. And on the similar objection being taken by the Holy Prophet, he said the Arabic equivalent of Shabbir would be Hussein. And that is how that name was given. So you can see that even in those names, there is the significance and effect that follows from those names also. Then, of course, followed the marital life of Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam, where I start the actual agenda that we had laid for tonight of her character and her personality and her attributes. The first thing one notices, which is such a lesson for today, is the frugality with which this lady conducted the household. No ostentation at all, as we saw yesterday. The things that were purchased were so simple, all necessities of life, and purchased from made from natural materials. Indeed, when the Holy Prophet saw the items purchased, he immediately prayed to Allah, "Oh Allah, bless all these things that have been bought for the household of Ali and Fatima, because they are all made of natural things." Frugality starts there with purchase of things made from natural products. And then one finds that throughout her marital life, she conducted her affairs of the household in a manner consistent with the purse of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Not once was a demand made to indulge in expenses that were not in keeping with the budget of the family. That perhaps was the greatest lesson that Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam teaches the familyhood of today. Considerable number of problems, I dare say, that arise in our families today arise from the fact that we do not have sufficient financial planning of the resources of the family. This is a subject that deserves far greater discussion than a few minutes that we can give to it on an evening like this. I say this because the divorce rates, unfortunately, separation rates, disagreement rates in our communities throughout the world is horrifically on increase. Whether you look at the statistics from Africa or from this part of the world, needless to mention the European and the Western parts of the world, the graph keeps spiraling. It has to be arrested. I believe, and I hence take this opportunity of propagating this thought in this sitting tonight so that you can take it up further as you deem fit. I feel that the answer in arresting it is studying the life of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. Because in her life we find a number of solutions to these problems which exist today and are coming into being as days pass. The first of these, I think, must lie in the fact that she led such a frugal life. And one sees that happening again and again. How many times we read in the books that Imam Ali alayhi salam wakes up in the morning and says to Fatima, "Ya Fatima, what is there for food in the house today?" And Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam says, "Ya Ali, there is nothing in the house for food." And yet one finds that there has not been a murmur about it. There has not been a complaint about it from her at any stage at all. Of course, she was radhiya, she was willing, as we can be if we cultivate ourselves. That was her teaching for us. She was happy to be in the state in which Allah keeps her. But that is a training to be attained. It does not come by itself. And indeed, Imam Ali alayhi salam would then immediately go out and find means of raising money. And we will discuss 2 or 3 of those examples tonight. But when that food came, it would be converted into simple food that the family would prosper from and would be food taken within the means of the family. One finds that frugality continues right through. Yet charity is done, as we shall discuss later in the evening inshallah. Yet charity is done. But the first pivotal line, the baseline, is to start from a level of frugality and not extravagance. Do we need to be extravagant? The answer that she provided was definitely no. She remained the noblest lady in her community. There is no question about that. There is no Arab history that can pose a lady of that time nobler than Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. There cannot be posed a life of any lady of that time who was regarded as more honorable in the Arab society of the time than her. So one sees that frugality was not the issue at all. How rich she was in terms of monetary wealth was not the issue at all. What made her honorable in her society was the nobility, the charity, and the honorableness with which she presented herself and lived in that society. And those are the qualities we need to create in ourselves. Not only ostentation of how much money we are capable of spending, even if it results in financial strain. Another thing that she taught in household living is patience. I fear that a considerable number of problems that arise in the community today is because both parties lack patience. The youth grows up today in a society of speed, of hurry, of briskness, and I'm afraid to a certain extent of aggressiveness. Now that aggressiveness also follows in the home. That aggressiveness to attain certain ends in life are extremely important. Indeed, Imam Ali alayhi salam, who said, you must say your one prayer, thinking it is the last prayer, may be that you can say to Allah that when you recite Dhuhr, you may not have opportunity to recite Asr. When you recite Asr, Maghrib may not be seen by you at all. So much more true today than ever before, because of incidents of heart attacks and the way people die without notice and without a thought that such consequences would follow. Yet he said that despite that reality, plan your life and plan your business as though you will never die. As though life is permanent, so that you can make your plans for your businesses, plans for your profession on the basis of permanentness, and that business that has been set up can continue almost in perpetuity, growing from strength to strength, because it is only a plan that will enable that business to grow, or that profession or that project to grow from strength to strength, that will survive, particularly in these times. It is amazing to see how words of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam made centuries ago are so real and practical today. Now, whilst aggressiveness therefore is important in our businesses, there is no need to bring that aggressiveness in the home. Patience with each other is extremely important. And we find glamorous examples in the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. When Imam Ali alayhi salam, on that morning when he asks, is there anything to eat at home, Ya Fatima? She says, Ya Ali, wallah, there is nothing for you or for Hassanain alayhim as-salam. Those two had already been born by then. He turns round to her and says, Fatima, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ask for food to be brought home? Her simple answers were, Ya Ali, I did not want to ask for that which would embarrass you, because my father told me that throughout marriage I must not ask from you for anything that you may not be able to give me. Not you will not be able to, that you may not be able to give me, and I do not want to embarrass you. And one finds Bibi Fatima Zahra saying identical words of Imam Ali alayhi salam, that he never asked from me anything that I would not have been able to provide to him, or that he feared I might not be able to provide to him. That, I think, is a classic example of how harmony can be achieved between husband and wife in a familyhood. And then the patience that existed between them in accepting the style of life that they both adopted for themselves. For example, they were both charitable people, and these examples best illustrate how they expected us to live in this world. That morning, when there was nothing in the house, Imam Ali alayhi salam sets out. This is a very well-known example, and an example worth repeating even if you have heard before, as most of you will have. He goes out that morning, borrows 1 dinar, and one finds a number of examples of how he borrowed money in order to sustain himself. We saw yesterday that he did irrigation. But we find in life that when he became the Khalif, there was no debt against him at all. He did not have to use any resources of his to settle debts. One could see, therefore, with what promptitude he settled all these debts that arose as and when they arose. That is a golden rule, because accumulation of debts affects familyhood, affects family life in every respect. Imam Ali alayhi salam therefore goes out with that dirham to buy food, and he meets Miqdad on the way. Miqdad was very depressed, very desolate, very disappointed with himself. And Imam Ali alayhi salam stops him and says, "Oh Miqdad, how do I see you in this shape?" And Miqdad says, "Ya Ali, leave me alone. You will not be able to hear my condition, and I do not wish to disclose it to you. Please leave me alone." And Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Miqdad, you have now made me even more nervous about your state. You are a brother. How can I leave you alone? When I see that you are desperate, how can I leave you in this shape?" What a life, what an example for us all. Miqdad, ultimately pressed by Imam Ali alayhi salam, says, "Ya Ali, I have left home because there is no food at home at all. Children are crying. I am not able to bear seeing them cry in that way. Yet, I am in no shape, I am in no position to help those children at all. I thought I should get out of the house, and maybe Allah will provide for me." And Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "How has he lost who has trusted in Allah? How will he not benefit, he who has trusted in Allah? You set out from home that Allah will help, and Allah will help. Take this dinar and you sort out your affairs, buy food for the children, and go and give them food." Miqdad says, "Ya Ali, I fear your position might be the same as mine." Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Don't ask. I have parted with that dinar. I cannot take it back. You take it and go and help yourself." This habit of giving priority to others in solving their problems when you have the identical problem yourself is the highest mode of character. That is the mode of character most pleasing to Allah, that you give preference to the difficulties of others over the difficulties that you face yourself. This is a practical matter that arises in the lives of us all, each and sundry, and arises in our lives from day to day, that we encounter people who have problems. We have problems ourselves. How do we deal with the situation? The examples are fantastic. But that example of Imam Ali alayhi salam could not have been carried out successfully if Bibi Fatema Zahra alayhi salam also did not share that excellence and that trait. Not a slightest complaint from Bibi Fatema Zahra that why you gave that money away to Miqdad. Indeed, she would have expected Ali to behave in the way in which Ali expected. If he had acted otherwise, she might have been disappointed that how is it that Hassanain will get food when the children of Miqdad are hungry. Now, that is the level which Bibi Fatema Zahra built in that family. And that familyhood prospers. And the families of the children as a result prosper, seeing the mentality in which the parents have built up the home. Imam Ali alayhi salam decides therefore that he will not stay at home and goes to the mosque to pray, because it became time for Dhuhr. He recited Dhuhr, he recited Asr. After prayers, the Holy Prophet catches the hand of Imam Ali alayhi salam and says, "Ya Ali, can I accompany you to your home for lunch?" Imam Ali alayhi salam immediately understood that there is no food in the home of the Holy Prophet. How does he now react to this? There is nothing from his home. So he just lowers his head. The Holy Prophet says, "Ya Ali, can I come home with you for lunch?" And Imam Ali alayhi salam is not able to answer. The Holy Prophet says, "Ya Ali, I ask you for the third time and demand an answer. If I can come with you, I'll come with you. If I can't, tell me that I can't, that I do something else for myself." Imam Ali alayhi salam found it impossible to say to the Holy Prophet that don't come with me. He says, no, Ya Rasulullah, this is your home, you are most welcome. We will go home together. And on the way, the Holy Prophet says to Imam Ali, Ya Ali, I know there is nothing in your home. But Jibreel has come to tell me that Allah has ordered that when there is nothing in my home, I should come to your home. And there is lunch for me in your home. So let us go. Allah seems to have provided for something. When they enter, Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayhi salam is taken by surprise. How is she to cope with this situation? And where's the two enter? The Holy Prophet says, Fatima, I have come to have a meal at your house because there is nothing in my house. So I hope you can give a meal. And Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayhi salam says, yes, father, you are welcome. At that point in time, perhaps, she didn't even know what to offer. But that series of sincerity that flowed all from morning, when children did not have food, yet the children of Miqdad take priority. Not a murmur of complaint, not a whisper. Satisfied with the condition in which Allah keeps her, she welcomes the Holy Prophet in, and as she turns, she finds a frying pan on the fire with food being heated. And she turns round and says, Ya Rasulullah, your food has arrived. You can help yourself with it. Now, this, as I said, is a level which Allah sorts out when we help other people. We give preference to the difficulties of other people over our own difficulties in difficult circumstances of ourselves. And these problems get solved in miraculous ways. Indeed, an example I omitted last night, for tonight, is an example of what happened during the marriage, during the wedding night itself. I said that of the money received for mahar, 1/3 went in purchase of the necessities, 1/3 went for the walima, 1/3 for purchasing wedding dress of Bibi Fatema to Zahra and her perfumes. True, as we know from Umar ibn Khattab, she did not even need perfumes. She had athar on her from the day she was born to the day she left. She was fragrant, and one of the reasons why she is called Zahra is exactly that. Yet, by tradition, perfume had to be purchased. And one can see in what little money, all that was purchased. Again, a lesson on frugality, of how much should be spent on dresses and perfumes on wedding occasions. The glorious saying of the Holy Prophet is that wedding is most blessed in which the wedding expenses are the least. That wedding is the most blessed in which the wedding expenses are the least. Those are the holy words of the Holy Prophet. Extravagance and ostentation in weddings are not symptoms that please Allah. What does please Allah is the example that I now set out of Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayha salam. Well, the wedding dress was prepared and a wedding dress was bought. However frugally, we can say that it couldn't have cost the whole expenditure was not more than 150 dirhams. And yet, when she is being prepared for that night, a lady comes to the door and says, Ya Ahlu Bayt al-Nubuwah, I am naked. Please clothe me. Give me some clothes so that at least I can cover my body when I say my prayers. What is Fatima to Zahra to do? Her immediate reaction was, I've got this new dress. There was one dress I always had. I shall give it to her straight away. And she picked up the dress, wanting to go out and give that dress to her. But it was a dress that, as you would have heard before, had patches on it. Immediately she remembers the ayah of Quran. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not attain virtue, Allah says, until you spend in the path of Allah that which is dear to you. Not second-hand clothes. Not clothes we do not want to wear anymore again. Not things we want. Of course, giving away second-hand clothes, giving away to the poor clothes that we do not want to wear has its virtues. Rather than throw those clothes away, give them to other human beings. It has its thawab. But we are talking of level of virtues. We are talking of birr now. Allah says, "Lan tanalul birr." You will not reach that level of virtue unless you act in this way. When she remembers that ayah, she will say, "No, I will wear this herself, and I will give her that wedding dress which has been bought for me for tonight." She picks up that wedding dress which is bought with Ali's money, but now a present to her. So it is her property. She picks up her property and gives it to the lady, say, "Here is a dress, you can go and wear it." She goes to her, she is prepared to go to her wedding in that old dress with patches on it. Now the entire Qurayshite community is to come. To Bibi Fatema to Zahra, that was irrelevant. Pleasing the Qurayshite women would have not taken her anywhere. Pleasing Allah would have given her the right of intercedence that she wanted. Indeed, what we overlooked to say last night, and I reserved for tonight or another occasion, but as this occasion has come in to say it, let me do so, that when such a small mahar was fixed, the Holy Prophet again consulted Bibi Fatema to Zahra, the point I made last night. And mahar is the right of the bride, not the father of the bride. So the Holy Prophet turns round to her and says, "Fatima, 480 is perhaps what Ali can afford by way of mahar, and I am happy to accept that as mahar. What is your wish about it?" She says, "Ya Rasulullah, O my father, what is the difference between me, your daughter, that is the only importance of her, your daughter, and any other girl in Medina or Makkah, if all they take money for their mahar, and I also take money for mahar?" So the Holy Prophet says, "Fatima, what do you want for your mahar? What do you want for your mahar?" Of course, these days styles have changed. First degree or second degree are the stipulations in mahar these days. I have no qualms or quarrel with them. The level of Fatima to Zahra alayha salam was different. She turns round and asks for the sky. She asks for the maximum. She asks for heaven. She turns round and says, "Oh Father, let my mahar be the right of intercedence, the right of shafa'ah on the day of judgment for the sinners of Muslims of your ummah." After all, you say this is a marriage destined by Allah, and you were talked about it when you were in Mi'raj, and Allah is great and is bountiful. Holy Prophet is staggered for a minute. He had no right to give her the right of intercedence. That right only comes from Allah. So he pauses for a minute. "Man dhalladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnih." Who is there? I wanted that particular ayah. A number of ayats exist on the point in Quran. I wanted that because it's an ayah, you know, part of Ayat al-Kursi. Who is there who can intercede except with the permission of Allah? Illa bi'idhnih. And whilst the Holy Prophet paused for a little while to see how to react to his daughter on that fantastic demand that she made, Jibreel comes down with a writing to the Holy Prophet, says, "Oh Muhammad, give this to your daughter. Allah has in writing given her the right to intercede on the day of judgment for shafa'ah of any Muslim for whom Fatima wants to make shafa'ah." Now that is the level of Fatima, and that is the name of Fatima, one who can extinguish fire on any person she chooses. She accepts that and immediately makes the wasiyah, and we shall discuss this on Monday night also once again, makes the wasiyah that when I die, I should be buried with this tablet, with this writing, so that on the day of judgment, I can make shafa'ah for whosoever I choose. So one can see that is the level at which she operated. What then was the problem if she gave away the wedding dress? But the lesson for the ummah to learn is how greatly important it is that we should be able to act for a benefit of and in priority to other people. And one finds that although she was in that life of frugality, although she was in a life in which there were such problems, money was difficult to come into hands, life had to be lived in ways in which she had to manipulate each day to make it a successful day, yet there was no shortage of making charity. An example that is well known, and perhaps one ought not to have taken your time on this. I spent a little time considering whether I should put forward or not, but I thought that just for the sake of that youth who hasn't heard it, it must be said, because it is such a glorious example of the charity of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam in strained circumstances. To make charity of £1 million when you have £1 billion is not a problem. But to make charity of £100 when you only have £120, that is when the test of charity comes in. A Bedouin moves into the Masjid al-Nabawi, says prayers behind the Holy Prophet. After prayers comes to him and says, Ya Rasulullah, I am an immigrant. I have come to you because I am in desperate condition. I need food to eat. I am hungry. Please feed me. I am naked. Please clothe me. I have no way of going back home. Please provide me some transport by which I can go back to my family. And the Holy Prophet looks down, because the Holy Prophet had nothing on him at all with which to assist this man. Yet, how can this person be allowed to go unassisted? He turns to his companions, receives no assistance at all. So, stuck in this corner, what does the Holy Prophet do? Classic example for us to follow when we are stuck. Because this is what the Holy Prophet did. He immediately turns round to him and says, go to the house of that lady who loves Allah and her Prophet, and whom Allah and her Prophet love. You can see those epithets used for Imam Ali alayhi salam in Khaybar are now used in Masjid al-Nabawi for Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. There is no level, I say, that can be higher than that. That the Prophet of Allah should say that Allah is pleased with you even in lifetime. My complaint with my life all along is that our bank statements on how we perform thawab-wise is confidential even to ourselves. Usually bank statements are confidential to other people. At least you get your copy of the statement. But with Allah, He keeps it confidential from us too. We do not know what is accepted, what is not accepted. You can make a journey from London to Mumbai to recite a majlis. You don't know whether you have earned anything or not. It is only when it reaches Allah. This is His mercy on us. But this is how He has planned it. But there are these people who at such level of life are given their certificates in their lifetime. That is Fatima. And the Holy Prophet says to this person in Masjid al-Nabawi, go to her who loves Allah and His Prophet, and whom Allah and His Prophet love. He says, Ya Rasulullah, that kind of personality I do not know. And immediately somebody says, I will take you. According to one source it was Anas, I will take you to her house. She gets to the house of Bibi Fatema Zahra, confronts her and says, Ya Fatima, I am a desolate person. I am hungry, I need food. Fatima had no food in her house. I need clothes. Fatima had no clothes to give him. I need transport. So she picks up a skin ram, and says, look, take this, and this will help you. That was the ram skin on which Hassanain alayhi salam was sleeping. What will they sleep on that night? Irrelevant to her. This person's needs become more important to the bedding of her own children, Hassanain alayhim salam. He says, this will not help me, O daughter of the Messenger of Allah. She takes back the ram. She remembers that she has got one chain that was given to her by Fatima binti Hamza. The daughter of Hamza had given her a chain as a present. That was a gift to her. She picks up that chain and gives it to this person and says, go and sell this chain. Allah will give you so much barakah from it. After all, it is Mubarakah who was saying it. So much barakah from it that all your wishes will be solved. All your problems will be solved. All your wishes will be granted from this necklace. He takes it and comes back to Masjid al-Nabawi. The Holy Prophet asks him, what happened? He says, your daughter has given me this necklace. I'm now only looking for a buyer. And I thought that the place to sell a necklace from the neck of the daughter of the Prophet must be in the mosque of the Prophet, not the bazaar. You can see how it's being valued. And immediately, by then, Ammar had already come into the mosque and had heard what had happened. So he stayed on to see the end of that episode. He had at that time sold his booty that he got in Khaybar. So he had some money with him. Ammar immediately stands up and says, Ya Rasulullah, and it is a coincidence, or is it not a coincidence, that this purchaser should have been Ammar? Says, Ya Rasulullah, will you allow me to purchase this necklace? And the Holy Prophet says, Ammar, yes, if this is your good fortune, go ahead. Turns to the seller and says, for how much do you sell this necklace? And you can see no greed in this business at all. He says, just give me enough. Just give me enough to buy me meat and bread so that I can have some proper food. Give me enough so that I can buy a shirt. A shirt long enough that I can cover my body when I pray to Allah. And give me a horse on which I can ride to get back to my family. That is all I need. Ammar says, why do you want to sell just for that much? She said, I told the daughter of the Prophet that this is all I need. And to satisfy these needs, she has given me this necklace. I do not want to have any greed in respect of the matters on which I have made my requests to the daughter of the Holy Prophet. Ammar says, I will give you more than that. Come home with me now. I will give you meat and bread. I will give you a Yamani shirt, not even an ordinary shirt, a Yamani shirt that you can wear as you like. I will give you my own horse on which you can go home. And on top of all that, I will give you 200 dinars. He takes him home, they come back, people are still waiting to see the end of that episode. And the Holy Prophet asks him, are you satisfied? His answer was, O Messenger of Allah, your daughter has not only satisfied me, her words were so true that all your wishes will come true. She has made me a rich man in this world. Now he even has 200 dinars with him. More importantly than that, I would say, he has learned that in problem, whom he should call out. Whom he should call out when he is in problems. He knows exactly where his problems will be solved. Indeed, I dare add on my own accord, problems not only of this world, but problems of the hereafter also. We have got to develop this habit in us to approach her in times of difficulties and not other sources. However, to complete that part of the story, interesting as it is, he leaves with all that. Ammar then says to the Holy Prophet, I have already put perfume and musk on this necklace, and I seek your permission to return it to Fatima now as my present to her. So you can see how many people have attained levels in this transaction. The Holy Prophet says, Ammar, fulfill your wish if you like. Ammar had just bought a slave at that particular point in time in order to free him. out of his booty of Khaybar. The name is Sahal. He sends Sahal to Bibi Fatema to Zahra, says, you take this and I give you to Fatima to Zahra and the necklace back. You present the necklace back. He goes to present the necklace back. She takes the necklace from Sahal and turns round to Sahal, says, insofar as you are concerned, I have freed you now. Sahal smiles. Bibi Fatima to Zahra asks him, oh Sahal, why do you smile at this? Happy at your freedom, inshallah. He says, yes, but that is not what really makes me smile. What makes me smile is what barakah this necklace has. It has fed a hungry man. It has clothed a naked man. It has made rich a poor man. It has solved the high ambition of Ammar to give you a present. And it has freed a slave too. So you can see how many transactions were carried out in one necklace. The reason why this episode is of paramount importance is to appreciate that this is a lady of that foresight, that in one action, because she had predicted this, that all your problems will be solved. She had well predicted this, that all that will happen. Important thing is that we too should learn. We should learn to be able to call her the words given in Muntaha al-Amal for calling her when we are in difficulties are, Ya Sadati, Ya Maulati, Ya Fatima, Aghithini. Oh my mistress, oh Fatima, come to my help. And umpteen examples are found in this world in which people in difficulties have called her and she has responded. And she has responded with a number of problems solved in a number of respects. Be it injured people who want their wounds healed, injured whether physically or emotionally. Be it sick people who want to get well. Be it poor people who want to get rich. Be it hungry people who want to be fed. Example of that particular Bedouin that followed. And such examples keep repeating in books. 6 nights cannot provide the opportunity to discuss her life. But this is an angle which is important to touch because it enables us to seek refuge in her whenever refuge is needed. I mentioned of sick people. Indeed, one of the things she taught was Dua Nur. From her knowledge, she taught Dua Nur, and whilst we are on this, we may as well talk about the sick people. And we get this hadith from Salman. Now, the level of Bibi Fatema to Zahra alayhi salam is measured from this episode. Salman is regarded as one of the most senior companions of the Holy Prophet. And all Muslims unanimously so regard him. There isn't a denomination that treats him differently from other companions. And Salman says, and you will find this in any major book you like, Muntaha al-Amal says it, Mafatihul Jinan says it, numerous books, very well reported hadiths and very well tested hadiths. Salman says he had temperature. Now, one person who was a tabib was Salman. One would have expected Salman would know what to do if he had fever. He wasn't able to solve his fever. And what does he decide to do? He decides to go to the house of Fatima to Zahra alayha salam. Haven't I put forward a volume on the knowledge of Bibi Fatima to Zahra alayha salam, knowledge of medicine, that a person like Salman when sick should go to her to say, Ya Fatima to Zahra, I have fever, what do I do? She did not prescribe tablets. She prescribed how to invoke Allah, and she then taught him what is now famously known as Dua Nur. The Lady of Nur will only teach Dua Nur. The dua says, Bismillahi Nur, Bismillahi Nurun ala Nur, Bismillahi alladhi huwa al-mudabbir al-umur, Bismillahi alladhi khalaqa Nur min al-Nur, Alhamdulillahi alladhi khalaqa Nur min al-Nur. And one finds that this description of Nur of hers of Alhamdulillah, khalaqa nur min an-nur. What a philosophy that Allah created light from light. And Bismillah nur ala nur, that Allah made the commencement of light from light, energy producing energy, as it were. A concept of physics which was unique at that point in time. And you find Fatima Zahra alayha salam discussing those scientific principles in the form of a dua. In the form of a dua. Indeed, one gets more of that glitter of her knowledge when she gets that opportunity of presenting a khutbah in the court of Abu Bakr. I shall inshallah have opportunity tomorrow night, perhaps, of discussing parts of that khutbah. But other parts of that khutbah, this part is a part in which she discusses Tawheed. And she, when in discussing Tawheed and discussing origin of things, she discusses the Tawheed of Allah in a manner which is unique by itself. And you literally can see the daughter of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi talking about Tawheed of Allah. Indeed, particularly when she mentions how Allah created everything from nothing. It is not that something was created from something that existed, and created everything without an example about it that existed before it. Her concept of Tawheed was fantastic, and she put that forward in the court of Abu Bakr, put that concept forward in the court of Abu Bakr to the Ansars. That khutbah, by the mercy of Allah, and indeed a great mercy of Allah, has remained extant with us, worthy of discussion in its fullest. However, that Dua Nur, I've only made the commencement of that Dua Nur, but I must stop going further with it. Very short dua, taught to Salman. And Salman says, the moment I recited that dua, I found that my fever was gone. That fever which was not going, that made Sir Salman desperate, that fever was now gone. Salman says that I have taught that dua to not, this is perhaps why we have got it till today, to not less than 1,000 people. Not less than 1,000 people in Makkah and Medina who complained to me about fever. You can see people went to Salman to take medicine. They went to Salman to ask about how to solve their fever. Salman would go to Fatima alayha salam. And he says, I have taught that dua to not less than 1,000 people. Almost all of them whom I have met again in Hajj or in Ziyarah in Medina have confirmed that their fever is gone. In fact, that dua remained popular over the centuries. I remember my days in East Africa, in Tanzania. I say this because maybe this is also true in Mumbai, and I do not know this. Maybe this will enable the propagation of that dua. I remember my days in East Africa when the elders of the community, the elderly members of the community, if one person fell sick and had fever, would ask the person who is sick, did you forget to recite Dua Nur one of these days? Because how else can you have fever? And invariably the answer would be, yes, I have slipped. Otherwise I would not have that fever. Reason I say this is, this generation must develop that concept also. If this generation also recited Dua Nur and kept fever away, this generation too will find that when one youth has fever, the other will ask, have you forgotten to recite Dua Nur? And it is such a small dua, it does not take more than 1 or 2 minutes, and it will not take more than 3 or 4 days of habit to make it by heart. And yet it has its immense value. Sum it up by another hadith from Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam, by way of giving us knowledge. She says that one night, she was going to bed, she was ready now to sleep, and her father walks in. Worthy father of a worthy daughter, this hadith that I'm now going to put to you could not have been given to anybody. Father comes in and says, Fatima, you're going to sleep? So she says, yes, father, I've had a long day and I'm now going to sleep. And Rasulullah Khuda says, no, you can't. Fatima, how will you go to sleep like this? So she says, Father, what do you expect me to do? What am I expected to do before going to sleep? She says, so the Messenger of Allah says, Fatima, make one khitmah of Quran before going to sleep. Now one khitmah would perhaps take us a full month of the holy month of Ramadan to make the khitmah. Make one khitmah before you go to sleep. Get the shafa'ah of all the anbiya before you go to sleep. Earn the pleasure of all mu'mineen before you go to sleep. All these were enigmatic requests. But the last one was fantastic. It says, make a hajj and umrah before you go to sleep. Make an umrah before you go to sleep. And so saying, the Holy Prophet did what he always did, to recite 2 rakat namaz before he went to sleep. This is the earlier part of the night, to wake up in the later part of the night. And Bibi Fatema Zahra says, I decided I will not do anything except wait for him to finish his prayers and seek further particulars, because she didn't know how to react to this. When the Holy Prophet had finished his 2 rakat of namaz, she turns to him and says, Ya Rasulullah, tell me more about this. You have asked me to do things that are impossible for me to achieve. I can't, for example, do the umrah tonight before I go to sleep, and then go to sleep after doing umrah and be back in Medina. I cannot do a full khitmah immediately. And yet, because you have asked me to do this, it must be within my capability to do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have asked me to do it. How do I achieve this? And the Holy Prophet says, Fatima, recite Surah Ikhlas, Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad 3 times. Because recitation of Surah Ikhlas 3 times earns the thawab of reciting the whole of Quran. Do that much at least. Secondly, send salawat on me and all the anbiya who came before me. Because he who sends salawat on us every night before going to sleep will earn our shafa'ah on the day of judgment. And seek forgiveness from Allah for all the mu'mineen. Because if you do so, you have pleased all the mu'mineen. And when they come on the day of judgment, they will come well pleased with you, Fatima. And finally, to achieve the sawab of Umrah, recite tasbihat arba, subhanallahi, walhamdulillahi, wa la ilaha illallahu, wallahu akbar. You can imagine what a glorious teaching. And that comes to us through Fatimatu Zahra alayha salam. Time does not permit to say more, but at least this much, that tasbih of Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam has come to us through her. Ahadith say that she had done so much grinding that her hands were blistered, carried so much water in mushks that her chest was blistered. And she goes to the Holy Prophet to ask for a helper. The Holy Prophet says, Ya Fatima, you do not need a helper. What you need is this tasbih. 34 times of Allahu Akbar, 33 times of Alhamdulillah, 33 times of Subhanallah. And may I say to the youths, whatever you hear, even Bukhari says, page 210 and page 211, volume 5 of the English translation of Bukhari says, that teaching was given to Bibi Fatima Zahra alayha salam. I know different names are now being mentioned today. Bukhari says it was taught to Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. If you want to look at Sahih Muslim, it's in the English translation in volume 4 at page 1274. Full hadith of how it was taught to Bibi Fatema Zahra alayha salam. These are blessings that have come to us through her, which we must not allow to go. Because Imam Ali alayhi salam said to her, when she came home and said, Father has taught me this tasbih, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Fatima, I will never miss this tasbih after any salah. And indeed, subsequently in his lifetime, he said, since I learned this hadith from the Holy Prophet through Fatima, I have never missed reciting it. Somebody asked, Ya Ali, even in Siffin? He says, yes indeed, even in Siffin I have recited that tasbih. One can see the level at which these spiritual matters are passed on to us so that we seek higher spiritual levels. The best example I can give of a person who attains spiritual upliftment by coming close to Bibi Fatema to Zahra, or even one of his sons is Hur alayhi salam. Hur went out to stop Imam Hussein alayhi salam from going to Kufa. He went out to thwart Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and indeed did so at Zabala, and thence onward would not allow Imam Hussein alayhi salam to move, to distract slightly from his path. But it is said that on the way, as they mounted together, he, keeping close to Imam Hussein alayhi salam to make sure that he keeps Imam Hussein alayhi salam on track, as they mounted together and trotted on together, Imam Hussein alayhi salam took that opportunity to teach a few things to Hur. And whether Hur learned or not, that advantage of having proximity to Imam Hussein alayhi salam in itself gave him the opportunity to see that sincerity of Fatima oozing from Hussein alayhi salam, that spirituality of Fatima oozing from Hussein alayhi salam, that saintliness of Fatima being exhumed from Hussein alayhi salam, and even those few sparkles that Hur got enabled him on the night of Ashura to tell his son, "Oh my son, today I have the nur in my eyes." Where did that come from? I have the nur in my eyes to see where is haqq and where is batil. And that is all we survive for, to be able to live in this world, to know where is truth and where is falsehood, so that we know the track to take at that fork. When we come to that fork, we know which fork to take, where is truth and where is falsehood. He says, I see myself between truth and falsehood, and I will leave all this. And Ya Ali, my son, I am going over to Hussein, because that is where I see truth. He asked his son to fold his hands, and with hands folded, he moves on to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is the charitable son of that charitable mother, seeing Hur come into that shape. Hussein sends Abbas over, saying, Abbas, my guest is coming from the army of Yazid. Go and receive him. When Abbas comes, Ali says to his father, "Oh father, Abbas is coming. He is coming to kill us. Do I open your hands?" He says, "No. If Abbas kills me here now, that is what I deserve. But I do not see that happening." Abbas comes and says, "Hur, I cannot take you to Hussein in this way." Hur says, "Abbas, there is no other way in which I can go to Hussein. I have done him such wrong. I have done you such wrong. I will only go like this, like a dog before Hussein." But when he goes before Hussein, Hussein opens up all the handkerchiefs, lifts him up, and what does he say? Ya Hur, anta hurrun fi dunya wal akhirah. And indeed, when Hur goes to fight, Imam Hussein alayhi salam follows this fight. A time comes when Hur says, "As-salamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah." Imam Hussein goes to the body of Hur, finds Hur in the last stages, finds that Hur is bleeding from his forehead, takes a handkerchief of Bibi Fatema to Zahra. You can see those sparkles still flowing from Hussein for Hur, and ties that handkerchief round his forehead. Centuries later, when the grave of Hur is opened up, so that it is repaired, to check on Hur, one finds that handkerchief is there. The moment that handkerchief is opened, blood gushes out from it. Hur, as it was saying, "This is a present. This is a present to me from Hussein. After he made me Hur, it is a present. I will not let go. I will meet Allah on the day of judgment. Will Allah forgive me for what I have done? But with this handkerchief round my forehead, I have every hope." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم